The Quran talks about change as a natural, functional reality of His creation. Sunnatullah fil kawn. Change, development, growth, it's natural. Even when He talks about the human reality. وَقَدْ خَلَقَكُمْ أَطْوَارًا. See, in Arabic, when you say tawr and atwar, it's talking about not just a phase, but a condition, a state of being. He has truly created you all through various stages of being, through various conditions. And while some commentators would take that as from dirt and from, mother and father and the stages in the womb, but even that rings true throughout our life. The Holy Quran references both productive and eroding change. We read of the rain giving life to the barren desert and earth and all of the beautiful vegetation coming up. We also read of the plants and trees getting old and not having rain, and they get dry and they crumble to dust and have no value anymore. And in both cases, the context and the relationship of saying those is not science. It is about an analogy to the believers receiving revelation and the hearts being illuminated and the life that it gives. And without that revelation, that rain for the heart, we are all in trouble. So in the struggle of life, perhaps two of the most difficult things that we have in life, particularly once we've reached adulthood, is to change ourselves, to change our patterns of behavior, our attitudes, to change our values and the things that we hold dear or tight. And even worse or more difficult than that is to change someone else. The Quran teaches us that there is a direct relationship between our effort to change and His blessing in our change. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Truly, God does not change the condition, the state of a people, until they change themselves. And that can be taken individually as well as collectively. So every one of us have issues and beliefs and values that we are passionate about. But we have to ask ourselves, do we truly appreciate others' passions and convictions? Or do we, filled with pride, look down at their passions and convictions as though ours are superior, as though we own the truth? And that's a challenge to all of us. Are we willing to accept that we may be wrong? And therefore we need to change in our understanding of things, in our attitude, in our way of living. One of the profound poets of our age, Maya Angelou, she said, if you don't like something, change it. And if you can't change it, change your attitude. Now, surface value, it may seem like a simple statement, but in reflecting on her poetic beauty, I understand her to be saying that how we try to change something is equally important to the change itself. And if we are unable to change something, either we have approached it in the wrong way, we don't understand it, or the way we are dealing with people is wrong, or we simply have to come to a state of peace and contentment that we do not have the ability to change something. Believers must be proactive toward positive change in themselves and in the world around them. But we have to do that with the guiding principles of humility and a deep understanding. And so the Quran tells us, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا. And then he immediately follows that up with, وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا. Do not follow that of which you do not have solid knowledge. Certainly we will all be asked about how we use our hearing and our sight and our reason. Do not carry yourself in boastful pride. What we're being told here is don't say or do anything based upon an assumption or even a surface level of knowledge. There are some people very comfortable with a very little knowledge of something, maybe just a Google search or a book or a couple of YouTubes, And they're like canceling out a whole entire system of something or knowledge. People who've dedicated their entire lives to something, and they'll say no because they don't want to believe that. They're not looking for the truth. They're not sincerely, humbly looking to have truth. They're trying to prove what they already think. We call it confirmation bias, where you enter into a situation with your heart and mind set on what it is, you're not willing to budge. So there are two kinds of people in the world. There are those who just are tribalized. This is one of the wisdoms, the intrinsic wisdoms behind the strong prohibition and opposition of God to tribalism. They just go along with the ideas of those around them in their group, and they think like those around them, and they stay in a very narrow mindset, and they're not willing to go outside of that. And if they do, they're on guard to prove that them and their group are right. This is the blind followers. This ayah is rebuking. The Quran is prohibiting this behavior, but yet how many Muslims function in that way? On the other hand, you have the refined person, principled, seeking truth objectively. They're ready to admit that they don't know everything, and they may have things misunderstood, and they have a lack of knowledge, and they are comfortable living in a constant state of change, which we call growth. Something we need very much in our lives. So they're aware of the factors that are pushing them in different directions. And they are humble in both receiving and communicating the knowledge that they have. This is the path of the sincere believer. This is why many ayahs end, أَفَلَا تَسْمَعُونَ. Aren't you listening? Don't you all listen closely? أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. Don't you look and pay attention and look deeply at what you're dealing with? أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. Many times. Don't you really think deeply? Don't you rationalize, intellectualize things? And here he's talking about what is the religion in its pure form is holistic. Revelation and divine truth as it relates to the lived realities that we all function in every day. Those two are connected, intertwined. You cannot separate them. Whoever's trying to separate them has an agenda for or against one or the other. And so we must be in that humble state. And so if we're going to make that positive change in ourselves, and we are working on that, it's going to be because we're humbly seeking knowledge. And if we hope to make positive change in others and in the world around us, it will be because we are humbly conveying this knowledge.